All right. Good afternoon, maybe good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. It's Victor Dantas here with a special report. We are calling Get on the Same Page. And now you understand probably why we have that title for this live today. Well, I thought about putting together a live chat where we bring MVPs, Microsoft professionals, friends in the community, and they can provide their take on all the announcements from Build 2022. Most of the stuff will be Power Platform related, but depending on whom shows up on this live. And again, I've blessed this link to a bunch of people I know in different channels. So folks will start to show up, and I'll just bring them into the chat. And the idea is that this channel will be open for you to ask questions, comments, tell us what you like the most about the announcements, and just leave this thing open for an hour, and we get a lot of friends show up. So far, I have my friend, my dear friend from Quebec, Eric Salve, is here with us. I'm gonna add him to the chat. Hello, Eric. Salut.
Hello, Victor. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thanks for joining us. And I see here on the chat as well, Alexander Olashin, again a Ukrainian but now Canadian. So he's closer to us here in Toronto. Maybe closer to you, Eric, than me.
Definitely.
Hi
uh,
guys.
Alexander, thanks for joining us. And I see someone joining us. I think he's outside walking. My friend Russ. Thanks for joining us, my friend. Welcome to this live broadcast. It's so good to have you here again. I will reiterate to the public: this is a live chat. I have sent this link to a bunch of our friends, a bunch of the heroes in the community, and it's completely open. So whomever shows up gets to be part of the show, and we'll take questions, we'll take your comments, and see where this leads. But the idea is we talk about Build. So I have a page up with some of the things that were more the remarkable announcements, if you will. So I'll quickly chat about them, and then Eric, Alexander, Russ, feel free to chime in, and even if you have things that are not listed here on my page, go ahead and comment out. It's free. It's open mic afternoon or maybe night, depending on where you are. So let me share my screen quickly here, and then we'll go from there. All right. So this is my top four. Okay, top four announcements from Build, and this came straight from Satya. So it's big. I think it's the first time. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it's the first time that Satya refers to portals, now pages, as a main thing. So it's big for me and for all the portals and now pages fans. So I think it's pretty big. So for me, top one, Power Pages announcement. Of course, we'll talk more about internals. We're gonna have a special participant here that will be able to give us more insights on the internals and what changed and what's new. So we'll reserve the honors to that special guest whenever he's available. Okay, and then I have as a second one Express Design. Taking pictures and then turning pictures into apps. So that was for me a game changer. And I know maybe in real life, people won't use that as much, but I see value in that, at least for me, when I'm doing POCs and MVPs at the minimum viable products. I think I will use this a lot. Maybe not using the pictures, but using the designer to do that. But I got really excited about it. And then number three, PVA evolution, the unifying of citizen developer components for PVA and bot framework. Having all in the same place and being able to do both. The drag and drop designer of PVAs, as well as looking at the code and being able to change the code in the same interface to me, this was brilliant, and I hope that other technologies within the Power Platform will follow suit, where we can have all in one place, the viewer or the way to design applications using that drag and drop, and then I can use code and more of the advanced resources of the pro code world in the same designer. And then last but not least, PowerPoint enhancements, being able to share PowerPoint dashboards and reports being able to share Power BI dashboards and visuals within PowerPoint. To me, that's a no-brainer. I was sad that it took this long. People have been sharing Power BI dashboards using screenshots and printouts, and being able to do that from within PowerPoint was great. So I am going to welcome another speaker here or participant. My friend Cheryl from the UK is here as well. And then we'll open the mic, maybe starting with Eric, then Alexander, Raz, and then Cheryl. What is your opinion? What was the most remarkable announcement within Build this year? And I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can see you better.
Let me just mute my Teams. I get notifications in the background. 2 seconds. But really, on my side, I like the sequence you've put these announcements, because it's pretty similar on my end. Like make way to Power Pages, Power Apps, the old ADX Studio, Dynamics portals, Power Apps portal, the whole history. I've been through it ever since it was the on-prem version, and it's really something to see it become a product by itself. And my hope is the whole suite of engineers and marketing and all the tools and the provisioning of Microsoft services around it will follow the fact that it's a product of its own now. That's my biggest hope here. Big time.
Awesome. Alexander, you want to give us your take?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, Power Pages was the biggest one. So yeah, I agree with Eric. It's nice to see it becoming its own thing, and it's really great to see what the future will bring and how the product will evolve. The other thing for me for builds that wasn't mentioned for you is more for developers is Azure OpenAI service. So it's available in preview, and it allows approved customers to access GPT-3 and other OpenAI models, which is really interesting, especially if you're working with AI and what it will allow you to do. So,
all right, Raz, do you want to give us your opinion?
Hello, guys. You caught me finishing work. I'd just like to show you our beautiful city of Manchester.
That's nice.
Driving here. I actually get stopped here quite often by the BBC for a news interview. I was actually on the news last year. Not for anything bad, I have to say. So it's good to be interviewed today in relation to MS Build. So I have to say, look, Eric and Alexander, I know you're aficionados of Power Portals and Power Apps. I have to agree with personally Eric in respect to the Power Apps experience. As you know, Victor, we have literally just last weekend completed the Power Apps Developer Bootcamp, and one of the biggest challenges we feel users face is getting started with Power Apps development. And I think what Microsoft have done, investing in the Express Designer and Figma integration, that's really going to help the citizen developers build their confidence in building Power Apps. So that would be the top of my list, just based on the experience from last week's bootcamp. So that's number one for me. Number two would be the immersive experience for Power Automate. And again, the reason why it's a great experience to have the ability to be able to create Power Automates from within an app, any integrated app that's using Power Automate, is that number one, it's creating that immersive experience, that embedded experience within any application, right? and therefore it's making it easier for your users to be able to build those automations. So again, it's making it easier. Come on, guys. How many times do we find it troublesome, cumbersome to navigate around, to build the different moving parts of an application? So what Microsoft have done is that they've solved that problem in this scenario. There are pros and cons to that with citizen development. But yeah, those are my top two. My third top feature would definitely be the enhancements to approval processes and the Graph API. As we all know, the Graph API is usually from Microsoft 365 standpoint, it's the ultimate place to develop your integrations for your users. And now with extensions to Graph API and approval processes, we're getting that even more of an enterprise experience for our approval processes. So they are my top three. There you go.
Awesome. Cheryl? I think
pretty similar actually to the guys so far. Obviously, massive Portals fan, right? So Power Pages, that's just blown me away, and I see it as a real indication, as Eric was saying, that of the investment that's being made in that area. And I'm really looking forward to further developments, including I've seen the Express build for Canvas apps, and I'm hoping maybe that some of that goodness can come our way eventually. Who knows, right? And I'm really pleased that the pro devs are getting some goodness as well. So yeah, I mean, it's been a phenomenal build, right? There's been so many great things announced across the board, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Sorry, I had to rush to get here because I've been on site today. So yeah, thanks for letting me join, Victor.
All right. I'm gonna add some more here to the chat as well. If you don't know him, this is Nikita. He's a Microsoft employee. I was writing a note to Nikita, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I wanted to take maybe a few seconds to recognize Nikita and all he does for the community. I personally really appreciate your support, the times that you the time you take to write emails, send us links, prepare material for us MVPs and partners alike. Really nice to be able to count with you. A good resource, knowledgeable resource from Microsoft, and I think on that note, I made it a bit more personal. Besides the help you give us, just to count with your friendship in this industry is really amazing. So thank you so much for being here. And I shouldn't ask for your number one announcement on build. Maybe let's start with 2, 3, and 4, and then go back to 1, because we already know what number 1 is. But the floor is yours, please, Nikita.
That's tough. I would say I definitely like what I saw with the expression design. Just that ability to draw or mock something up and get that to a Power App, I think would be my choice. And obviously can't wait for something like that to get to Power Pages as well. Was an immediate ask that somebody had. And the reason why I'm passionate about that one, and I'll stop just at that one, is if anybody's used the Expression Studio, and if you were a WPF XAML Silverlight designer for way back yesteryear, you might remember a product blend that had SketchUp that was for prototyping. So I really personally believe in prototyping and mockups and all of that. So getting this capability into letting your low-code makers to quickly realize apps out of literally a pencil, a napkin drawing is it just resonated well with me. So I'll stick to just that one.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I did a lesson on the Zero to Hero mentorship, talking about database design in Power Platform, in Dataverse for that matter. And I showed people what I use, and a lot of what I use is, my first design session, if you will, is just designing a database in a piece of paper. and then I may go to forms in the same way, and then I work in the tool itself to create the database. I don't usually use Draw.io or any sort of UML tool to get to the place I want. So I was really impressed with what I saw, and I hope that the remainder of the platform or the features can also use the same strategy. For example, if I need to design a flow, why not draw the flow first, or workflow, legacy workflow for that matter? So I think it's a great idea, and hopefully it'll be used throughout the platform. But Nikita, you let's unleash the beast, I guess. You can talk about your favorite number one announcement of Build 2022. Feel free.
Well, I think I'm pleased to be able to publicly say Power Pages now out loud and update all the branding on LinkedIn and Twitter. We're really excited. I mean, I've been working in the PowerCat team and the Power Portals Cat, immediately soon to be Power Pages Cat team. Myself, Nikita Polikoff, and Donovan Good. We've been working with the engineering team preparing for this moment at Build, so we're really thrilled and excited about what we're able to announce for public preview, and getting people to experience the product and get more people to be aware of the product is actually probably the biggest, most thrilling news. It was really hidden inside of the Power Apps branding and the platform. Now having Power Pages be in the flagship level of products is really going to bring more people to try it, more people to experience it, and the studio investments of making it easier to get started are the right ones to get started. Underneath it, there's actually a ton of pro dev capability that was introduced, and some new features as well. So for me, all around a great week so far.
Awesome. We got a few questions here. One specifically that I'll try to put it on the screen. Maybe it's gonna take half of the screen because it's a long question. I clicked on the wrong one. I think clicked on Eric's response. But so the question is from Jason Miller. Is asking what is really new with Power Apps Pages. The product's called Power Pages. Let's fix that from the get-go. Most of everybody's opinion is that it's just a rebrand of Portals with enhancements coming later. What is the specific about Pages announcement? I'll give my take first, Nikita, and then you can complete or correct me if I'm wrong. What I've seen, in terms of structure, the product is really similar. You're still riding on Portals engine per se, although Microsoft is no longer going to refer to it as Portals anymore. That is my understanding. But when it comes to spinning up a portal, I think coming from a citizen developer approach, you get a lot more now than what you had before. At times your designer, your Power Pages designer will look a lot like some of the tools that are in the market, Wix being one, Squarespace is another, where you can create pages that are compelling in their looks, and they still have the functionality of exposing Dataverse components to your portals. All right, so that is Victor's explanation. Nikita, you can complete, and anybody else.
I'll actually volunteer time for others, and then I'll fill in if anything doesn't get covered.
All right, who wants to go next? Alexander, you want to go next? Oh, he just dropped. Anybody wants to comment?
Yeah, as I said, I've seen some of these comments, right? That people are saying, "Oh, it's just a rebrand of what was already there," and obviously we can't stray too far away from what we've got, because we've got those portals, right? So we have to still be able to work on them and move them forward. But as I mentioned earlier, I think it's just the clear indication of direction of travel now towards this. It seems to me now that there's so much clarity around how we're working on these products together as a fusion team, right? Because in the Power Pages arena, right, we do have this really big mixture of different skills within teams to be able to deliver them, right? And there seems a lot more clarity now about how that work is going to be done, for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, fundamentally, it's the designer, right, that allows you to create layouts, some quicker styling, right? I mean, for makers, right? For the maker, the new capabilities that they're more likely to be able to change fonts, which they were able to before. The hover mouse over experience of laying out a page and adding components to it is miles better. Now, I would probably consider myself pro developer, but I'd still spend time in the studio, right? So through the exploratory working towards the, seeing the internal builds up until this moment, I personally like, and I know I'm going to get a lot of value laying out content and adding content to the pages within a site, right? So Power Pages produces sites, and in those sites you have pages. Laying out those pages and adding components is better. The other piece that's new for makers is that more and more of configuration features coming from that you had to go to the portal management app will be more in the design studio. So more settings and features on forms and lists are done right in the studio without exiting the studio. The biggest one that's probably going to even catch people is that the data workspace is now in the studio. Data workspace is going to bring you an ability to create new tables, columns within those tables, views and forms within those tables that you will then use on forms and lists that you're going to place on these pages. So those are new features. Are there new forms or lists or net new controls? Not at this time. But I think those maker improvements are what differentiates them. Is the platform product the same? Essentially, you could say so, right? And we will work on giving you an ability to use the new designer towards the general availability of Power Pages. We'll violently rename everything Power Apps Portals to Power Pages towards the GA, and that is how you will refer to it. But there's good news, no migration, right, at this time. So you don't need to migrate anything or do anything.
Yeah, as you were talking about, I was just looking at the new designer, and yeah, I mean, I tend to consider myself a pro developer as well. I don't know if I deserve the title, but I consider myself one. And I agree with you. A lot of the things that I do, I start from the designer, and then I work towards the back end if I need to go there, right? And the new designer for portals, I mean, the first main difference is that we get our own website, if you will, our own designer. And then I really like the navigation, how I can see pages here instead of having some sort of a hidden menu that I click to see. You have styling, where you have more components that you can use. It's a lot more graphical. You can see a color palette and all that. And then you have the data area. Now, this is an area for debate. I mean, right now, I think some of the Dataverse structure is too exposed for a maker, in my opinion, but it's cool. I mean, you can come in here, you can create columns, you can edit forms, you can do all sorts of things. You don't have to go to the back end to do that. Again, as a pro dev, I would love to see the idea of solution management here, but I mean, I think this is a step in the right direction. We get to see everything in one designer instead of jumping all over the map to get things done. So
yeah,
I concur with Cher. I think it's a step. It's a huge step in the right direction. I believe, and I see that it's part of Microsoft's vision. That's reassuring. At some point, people were asking me, should it be time for you to invest more in Canvas apps or maybe other areas of Power Platform? I said, I trust Portal will still be around for the long run, and it is the case. So Portals or Pages is not going anywhere for the time being. But I would encourage folks to get in and maybe try provisioning a portal. I'm showing a portal after its provision, but the whole experience of creating a new portal is really nice. You can choose templates, you can choose different features and functionality that you want to add to your portal. So it's really nice. I really appreciate the thought process from Microsoft and the team here. All right, Russ, do you have any comments around portals that you want to add? I
have to admit, guys, Power Pages doesn't doesn't have the same ring as Power Portals, I have to say. But I'm sure the product will outshine the branding and really live up to the expectation, because the architecture is all in place. And now with the templating engine that you've just displayed there, as well as what Nikita has shared about the roadmap for Power Apps Portals, I'm standing outside of many public sector organizations in the Manchester City Centre right now, and many of them are implementing Power Apps Portals, now known as Power Pages. And for public sector services, we're looking to deliver and make the experience for the citizens to manage that experience. And Power Pages is the solution that public sector organizations are now opting for. It makes sense because it sits already on their Dataverse, on their application. So, for example, you're seeing many trams going past me behind me now. So the tram system, the bus system, the train station behind me, one of the challenges that the City of Manchester had was all these services were disparate, and they wanted to combine all the services and provide a streamlined customer service whereby any person who's traveling can receive a refund, a rebate, or raise a case or an incident. And that was all done using Power Platform and Portals. Now, one of the challenges in the UK that we have is something called GDS, Government Digital Standards. So Nikita might know a bit about this. So they have a very, very strict framework for delivering web applications. And we managed to do that using Power Pages. So it's the future. That's all I can say. And one final announcement, Victor. I think you're already aware of this, but it's for the wider audience, is that, as you know, every year we have a Power Apps Portals, but now it's a Power Pages Bootcamp, right? So anyone who wants to learn Power Pages from scratch can do so over 2 to 3 days. The difference between the previous years and this year is that this year is more hands-on, which means that you can now actually take part in building your Power Pages hands-on rather than just attend sessions. So you'll be part of a team, you'll have mentors, and we will be building Power Pages as part of that boot camp, and we will be awarding prizes for the winners. So as you know, Victor, there's lots going on in the community, and Power Pages is definitely, I know, your favorite. And so we'll definitely be having an exciting boot camp this year with all these fantastic, exciting announcements. Thank you, Nikita's team, the PowerCat team, Dilip, and everyone who've made this happen. So thank you so much for making it easier for customers looking to deliver services. Thank you so much.
That is awesome. Yeah, I put the link to the event on the chat, so people who'd like to participate, they can register there. Also, if you have a session that you want to submit to be a speaker on the event, you can do so as well. But the link is there. Yeah, I remember, I think it was last year. Yeah, we got a great engagement on last year's Portals event, so it was pretty good. I got a question here that somebody sent, and I'm trying to make sense of it. Maybe you all can help me. Liquid template in web forms Dataverse can be replaced with these pages. I'm not quite sure what the question is. I think the structure, as we mentioned, Mahesh, is still the same. So if you want to add Liquid, be it to page content or to a template, you can still do so with Power Pages. So the main difference, I think, is on the citizen developer, on the designer area, but the backend remains the same. So whatever strategy you prefer to use, if you do control-like web templates, you can still do that. If you want to put your Liquid template, your Liquid commands on page content, you can do that as well. So that doesn't change for the time being. Maybe it will eventually, but for the time being, it remains the same. Okay, let me see if there are more questions here. The new Portal Pages allows you to create, let me show this guy. Yeah, so that is Satya. That is the comment I made, and I think the same is true for all the other um, app types. Canvas, I think, is similar. You can create a Canvas app without a solution. So to an extent, we are all in the same place in terms of apps. But of course, I think over time, we are hoping that Microsoft and product teams, they will consider adding a solution as part of the designer.
Yeah, we definitely know and hear the feedback. So that is top of mind for the data workspace team to see how we can integrate the solution context into the data workspace.
Awesome.
Yep.
And for us in the community, this is one of the areas that we plan on investing more time, just educating the citizen developer community a bit more on ALM practices. So hopefully this year we'll put some events and mentorship out to support the community that way. It's not that we want to restrain or diminish the power, reduce the power that's being given to citizen developers, makers on creating these apps or components. There's just an easier way for everybody to move in the same direction that's less painful to an organization. All right, we have another guest showing up. This is my friend Daniel Christian. Happy belated birthday, Daniel. I think it was Daniel.
Thank you.
Maybe a couple of weeks back. He turned 18.
I did. I'm still not legal to drink though. So
hey, that's good. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. We started on the top of the hour, and I told a few friends, whenever you can join, just join us. It's a free chat. There is no real structure. We're just talking about the announcements from Build. I had like a top 4 announcements that I went through. Of course, for me, a big one was Pages, Power Pages, and all of the other folks who are here and some that already left, they had their take on it. So, Daniel, if you can, you have an open mic now to tell us what was the best announcement in your opinion.
Well, Power best announcement, it is to be decided. There were new announcements. Best announcement, well, I'll have to kind of crack open the the situation and then actually see what is really best. That's people call me, I am the cautiously optimistic person, and that is what I am. I get a little excited about everything, but then I'll tell you what's the best later on. Power Pages is great. I mean, when it came out, everybody got excited, but then first question was, what's happening to Power Portals? So that's the transition thing over there, and I liked what they explained it. I like the fact that it is like first thing I saw was like, is this responsive or not? It's like, oh yes, it's responsive from the get-go, so that's good. But I was looking at this from so many lenses. Power Pages, and I did Power Portals as well. One of the things was, some of us come from the SharePoint side, and I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, the concept of SharePoint public sites had gone away. You couldn't make SharePoint sites as public sites are. The response from the community was, well, what is Microsoft's answer for that? Because we need a public site of some kind. Azure, there's Azure sites over there which you could do, which was a little heavy coding involved. And so when Portal Labs came out, that was the thing. You can make it a public-facing one, but there was some work involved over there, and there was always some growing pains. But now when I saw Power Pages of how dynamic it can be, and you can make it as a fully responsive site / app / forms, that is going to be a game changer in my opinion. And so I'm excited to see that, because it'll still be the concept of you don't need any authentication. It'll be a public facing page, but you can do so much more on that, and they've added a lot more bells and whistles to that. So Power Pages is definitely something to keep an eye on. And then go ahead and join the private preview. You can go and sign up for that, start playing with it, testing it. I already saw at the session on Ignite when the event was announced and the links came out, people were already tweeting about, I went and signed up for that. This is my first Power Page. So there is some excitement in the air, but like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, and in this case, I'm more optimistic than cautious. What else? Power Virtual Agents, man, that had my undivided attention pretty much all of yesterday. I actually did have the pleasure of doing a private preview testing on that, because I come from the low code, no code side. So there was the hardcore chatbot, like the Azure chatbot developers, and then there's people like me, low code, can do some coding amount, and the fact that they were able to collaborate the two was kind of best for both worlds, because I always found some gaps in the low code side. And they were able to fill that gaps when they collaborated together. So in the private preview testing, I was very excited about that piece. First things, like simple things came in, like you were able to go ahead and start putting in images directly. You were able to go ahead and start putting in what was the other things, video, audio in it, audio, like audio responding. The bot will actually respond to you in audio. That was pretty cool. Telephony directly can be added over there, native to it. Power FX functions directly comes into it, native to it. So that was actually my big excitement from the Microsoft build, was that true step up in the Power Virtual Agent standpoint. So that's if I'm saying anything's really gotten me excited on that, it's the PVA chatbots. That's my excitement.
Yeah, no, I concur with you. It was a great announcement. I put a reference here on the chat to a friend of mine. His name is Gina Gaja, and the reason why I did that, you were talking about this merging of citizen developer or development approach in PVA and also bot framework. Mm-hmm. And we got an event going here, I think 2 or 3 years ago here in Calgary, Canada. And this friend, Dina, he presented bots supercharged, where you start your bot experience on PVA, you get the code for it, and then you extend it on bot framework. And he was showing a lot of this stuff, adaptive cards and images and videos, but it took it took him a combination of tools to get there, starting on PVA and then extending on bot framework. But he kind of provided the vision that we see now, if you will,
Right.
But right now we have all in the same designer, which is great. Yeah, when I saw it, I was my mind was blown. I was like, man, this is really cool, especially on the voice part.
Yeah.
I know that folks will start playing with sentiment analysis through the bot interaction, because now you can collect that information. So it was great to see that as well. So that was really cool. I'm gonna throw another link here on the chat window. Again, this is now from another friend. He's an MVP in Brazil, Renato Romão. He does a lot of work on PVA. So if you want to follow him, folks who are in this live, it's great resource there as well. But yeah, I agree with you. Power Pages was a top of mind for me, just because of the commitment from Microsoft that they are not done away with portals, and the reassuring voice from upper management that we are continuing to push in that direction. But then PVA for sure was a big one for me as well. Do you have a third favorite, or was just 1 and 2?
I am a little excited about the in Power Apps you can create apps from that Figma UI kit. I liked that. I've seen some demos on that. The ability to go and just use the templates and designing of it. I still need to play around with it a little bit more. But anything that can help building of your apps, specifically Canvas apps, and the whole repetition process, instead of that it'll already have these template features available. That got me a little excited as well. I think I've seen now that it comes out, we can say, because we knew a little bit about this. So when we as MVPs heard about it before, I was like, ooh, that looks interesting. That definitely caught my interest, because anything that can make our building of apps easier is always a win situation, and this looks like one of them. Specifically, the fact that you can build the responsiveness also by default with that. So that also was pretty interesting. excited to see what people are going to do with that.
Yeah, it's for sure coming along. One of my major comments, I shouldn't say complaints, but major comments when it comes to app design was, you can select a data source and generate an app, but the app looks really bad, right? The design part, the look and feel of the app, it looked really bad. And now with Figma and other things, I think it's a huge step in the right direction when it comes to app design. You were not here when we talked about it, but we were also thinking that the functionality could work well also for process design. So you draw a process and it converts it maybe to a flow or something that we can use even within Dataverse to create the native Dataverse workflow. So hopefully we'll get those there. And if I just violated any NDA, I don't know anything about Express design for workflow.
I've not heard of that either. I think you're good.
Apologies there. Yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of this, draw to app or draw to flow would work really well in the platform. So I think it's a good step in the right direction. Anything else you saw there in the breakout sessions that you want to share that was exciting?
What else? I'm going through my notes over here. I did like one of the things was that everybody got excited was the new icon showed up for the Power Platform. Like finally, there's an icon for that. That was interesting. And then there's so many comments went on that as well about well, that's an interesting color of Power Platform, or like, hey, there's an icon out for it. I'm trying to think about we hit a few. There was some discussions on the Power FX, some updates on the approvals connector. I attended a session on that. That was the approvals. One of them was you can actually go ahead and now put the approvals in a certain order. Like I want the approvals to go this first, that first. Like that was something we had to do ourselves.
Yeah.
So now they're going to provide that functionality. So that was neat. Obviously, somebody immediately asked, "Well, is it going to be more than 28 days?" Like, well, no, it's going to stick to that. There's workarounds for it, but there's improvements in that connector as well. I was also interested when Jeff Teeper and Charles Lamont also was talking about again heavy integration between the Power Platform and Microsoft Teams over there. They actually called it the collaboration apps. Yeah. That was interesting. The Power Platform by itself falls into the collaboration apps. So how that's going to fall into the entire M365 realm and the Power Platform. That also will be something which I'll definitely keep an eye on, because we can be siloed in all of our things, but the end users, they want collaboration, like a one-stop shop almost in everywhere, and it is fair to them, and putting it inside Teams makes sense. So I'm again optimistically excited about that one. But collaboration was the key thing that caught my interest over there. I didn't attend any of the heavy development because I don't have a developer background on that. I'm sure there was more on it, but I focus more on the Power Platform and the M365 services in general.
Yeah, no, I saw a few on Azure, and I just like the vision of bringing everything together. They're still going with powerful services, releasing powerful services, but the connectivity with low code and no code is there too. So Insights was nice, bringing Insights to Power Platform and other things. So that was really good. There was one though that I'm not a big Power BI dashboard designer or programmer, whatever you call it. I do some dashboards because I have to. But the announcement around Power BI dashboards within PowerPoint for me was huge, because every time I design a dashboard, we add all the features and nice visuals and all that, and then the next question is, how do I share this with this CEO or this other person. He doesn't like to see, the CEO doesn't like to get into, Power BI to see the report or dashboard. How do we share it with them? So to me, that was a big
Right.
one. It's gonna solve a lot of problems. Man, I had done a lot of different things to be able to expose, Power BIs. I have stuck Power BI dashboards into portals, into just HTML pages to make sure we could expose it, and so on and so forth. So just being able to add it to a PowerPoint,
Yep.
as simple as it sounds, it was a big win. So
Yeah, I echo that. The what caught my interest was the Power BI inside PowerPoint, because Power BI is not just a report; it is the storytelling of data, and the other things that we all use to tell a story is PowerPoint.
that's
So
right.
it just made sense to put both of them together. Because you want to tell a story with the data, and you want to tell a story presentation, put the two together. I mean, it's just it just makes sense. But now it's screenshots can only help so much.
Exactly.
Directly, now that you have the report in there, you can click it. It can be active. It can it'll work. So that all will be very interesting. I just I'm guessing that since you have that PowerPoint working with Power BI, you probably always need to have internet connection, which kind of makes sense. If you're presenting it online, you're going to have internet connection. So that just makes sense. But that it just makes sense to have a live report or dashboard as against just screenshots. So
Yeah, and I mean, at this time and age, I think it's safe to assume people will have internet connection, especially if you're doing videos. A lot of folks, when they're presenting, they have a video off of YouTube and audio somewhere. So I think it makes sense. Cheryl, you always smiling. I think you have gone across the same
Yeah,
the same issues with
absolutely,
dashboard.
absolutely. I've not seen that session actually. I've got a whole bunch of things saved in my backpack because I've been on site this week. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to catching up on some of those sessions.
Awesome. Well, folks, we are 10 minutes out. I have gone through my announcements. We cruised through Power Pages, Daniel, and I know that you're doing one session, I think one live training, I suppose. Daniel, yourself and
yeah, Reza and I have our R&D show this Friday, which is the 27th. It's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We actually we'll be deep diving on Power Pages because one of the product group member will be on our call. So
Awesome.
that's going to be interesting. If you have time, attend it.
Well,
Yeah,
at the same time, I'm presenting at a user group in Bristol, in the UK, and I'll be discussing exactly the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll send people on over to your session. Okay.
Thank
there
you.
you go. There you go. Yeah, Daniel, if you have the link, if
Yep.
you want to copy it to private chat, we can
Put that in
make
right
it
now.
available to everyone here. We have my friend Mariano, mi hermano. We're gonna add him to the stream as well while Daniel is looking for that link. How are you, Mariano? I really like your living room.
Hey, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Doing well, man. Glad to see you guys here. Sorry for the late arrival, but I have a few things to take care of.
No, that's all good. We had a good rotation. We had folks from Microsoft join us earlier in the call.
Nice.
Raz joined us from Manchester, so we got a good group. Thanks for attending. So Mariano, we all went through this cycle of top 4 or maybe 5 announcements. What do you like the most? What is your favorite announcement so far? Or is yours?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I'm sure everybody have probably gone through this one, but I actually like the the ability to just take a design, whether that's a Figma design or an actual sketch that you've put on a piece of paper, and just use AI to create an app with that. I mean, that's a time saver because most of us actually, I don't know if you've been through this process, I'm sure you have, but a lot of our work comes from those same designs, right? Especially if you are a pro developer. Very rarely do you sit down and actually work through an application without having some preliminary design of some kind. And quite a bit of the time you find yourself conceptualizing some of those design elements on paper to begin with, right? So whether that's a figure that you draw on a napkin and you translate it onto square paper or something like that, it's kind of typically how your design process starts. Now, if you're more sophisticated and you have things like Visio form designers or even Figma, that just makes things a lot easier going forward for application developers, especially citizen developers. Along the same lines, I sort of like all the improvements that were incorporated in that are going to help with ALM, especially. So enhancements to the Power Platform command line interface. Those are going to be key. I like the the new Power Virtual Agents on steroids. That's what I want to call it, because reality is it went from being this kind of tentative, what I call a tentative chatbot development experience, to a true professional experience. It actually brings all the best of the Microsoft AI platform in a very consumable, self-service driven development experience. The fact that the lines are blurring between what we now call Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents, and certainly Power Automate, it's really cool, because I can see from this vantage point a day when you are no longer concerned about what studio experience you're in, right? Because you have a unified studio for the entire platform. And I think the more those lines are blurred, the more we're going to end up with that experience. So get ready for makethatpowerplatform.com. That's unofficial. I'm just saying it. Right?
You bought the domain yet.
Exactly. So you have one single design experience for everything. And I really certainly appreciate where this is all heading. So other than that, I don't know if you guys are keeping up with the announcements that are outside of the Power Platform, but certainly help with the whole Power Platform design experience. So it's certainly the ability to have cloud desktops and cloud development environments all in one place. I think more and more you'll see less of the heavy lifting on the client side and more of the cloud computing interacting with your local desktop. So those are my highlights, guys, and I'm still like a kid in a candy store right now, to be honest. Yeah, so much going on, and so many announcements coming through that just very hard to keep up with everything. But that's what we're here for. We're here to be the voice of Microsoft as MVPs and translate that into consumable information for people out there.
I'm so glad you said that about getting so excited, Mariano, right? Because I was like a child at Christmas yesterday. I was just all over the place listening to everything.
The only thing we need is 48-hour days, right?
That is truly the way it should be. I mean, Christmas should be in May. For those who have birthdays in May, that's how it should be. One of the things that they added on to the designer in Pages, Power Pages, that I think could be an idea that I would love to see incorporated everywhere is bringing the Learn documentation onto the designer, and I hope that over time it gets more of the AI intelligence, meaning what am I building now as a citizen developer could be displayed as as cues in the Learn area within the designer. So if I'm building a page or adding a video, automatically show me the documentation for this, right? And my point is this, though. I do renovations in my own house, and half the time I don't know what I'm doing, right? So my best friend becomes the YouTube app within my tablet.
Yep.
Okay. So if we can do that within the platform as well, okay, I'm building a flow. I just dragged a Mailchimp connector to it, right? The Learn documentation or the AI within that should search information within Docs or Learn, or even through different blogs from MVPs or key players within the industry to show me how to get things done. I think that would be awesome to get. So Pages got an area, placeholder area for it, but I don't know if there is a whole lot of AI involved there. But it'd be nice if there was, and
Mm-hmm.
the same concept should be applied elsewhere, maybe in the make.powerplatform.com, Mariana. I'm gonna
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna search GoDaddy to see if I can buy that domain.
Yeah.
But anyhow, let me see if there are any additional questions. People ask for the links from Daniel's and Reza's session. I already put it out there. Daniel is placing this other link here. I'm gonna put it on the comments area so people can see. It's just the book of news from Build that people can refer to.
While you're doing that, how about Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents getting better design editors than Power Apps, better code editors than Power Apps? That's kind of a little bit unfair, but I like the fact that that the designers or the code design experience is getting a lot better. And I'm sure some of that will make it over to Power Apps eventually. But it was interesting to see that PVA and PA have better editors than code editors than Power Apps.
Yeah. No, I was talking about it when we started. I love that either the citizen developer or the pro dev, they get excited when they access the PVA designer, right? You have the best of both worlds in the same design. I really like it. Not only to see the content of what you're building, but you really tap into the full power, in this case, of the bot framework. So I would love to be able to design maybe a model-driven app, and from there to register an event that will run as a plugin in Dataverse. Maybe using a language that's familiar to everyone, maybe PowerFX or whatever that may be, but within the same designer to be able to do all this kind of things would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting though. It's kind of cool to think about the convergence of designers, and it's just something that I can see happening pretty soon here.
Yep. So I got a message from Roy Vilrides, I think. So he's talking. He's looking for cues on getting started with COE. I know that Mike. Forgot his last name now. Mike Och, I think it's how we pronounce. He has a lot of material out there, blog posts and videos on how to get started on COE. I'm going to find his profile here on LinkedIn. I'll put it on the chat for you, Roy. I think it's a great way to get started. I know that Microsoft's channels, YouTube channels, also refer how we can get started. But if you have Mike's contact, whatever questions you may have, he'll be able to answer you as you start your adoption of COE. Anybody else has comments?
Yeah, I've actually had to work with COE a lot this last year. Good thing about that is they are releasing updates on it. Go ahead and it depends on because there's two iterations of it. There's the Teams one, which is a lightweight version, and then there's the full one, which is the COE, where you have to actually have its own environment to set that up. So, when you talk about citizen developers and all your tenant, you sound like you want to be more on the full version of COE to download and configure it. So I would recommend that you go in that direction. Also, get the link of the GitHub link, not the Microsoft Doc, the GitHub link, because over there you can actually add comments. The brains behind the COE, Emmanuel, she reads those comments and she'll go ahead and update those comments like immediately if you've got any questions over there. So I highly recommend that if you first of all go and read, because there's a lot of good information on those comments anyway. People have done things differently, given some feedback. But if you've got feedback, go and do it over there. But get it from that GitHub link, because and there you can. There's also documentation of what the changes and updates were, and always get the fresh copy over there. Yeah.
Our good friend Paul Comsey also have a good overview video he actually did for Microsoft directly on their Power Platform YouTube channel. So go check Paul's video over there too.
Yep.
All right, let me get his link here. I think I have the right one. All right. Yeah, you have all those 3 contacts there for you, Roy. I hope that answered the question. All right, we are past the hour. I don't see any additional questions. Thank you so much, Mariano, Cheryl, Daniel, and everybody else who joined the call. Really appreciate you doing that. Thank you for all you do to the community. It's really nice to not only learn from you, but the chance I had to connect with some of you personally. It was really a remarkable experience to really count you as friends above anything else we do together. All right. Have a great rest of your week and connect with those guys. They are real MVPs. I'm just here to look cute. They make me look good.
Well, you do a pretty darn good job at that, man.
So yeah, but to anyone who's coming, see you at the Scottish Summit, right?
Oh yeah. I'll see you in a few weeks. Anyway, a couple of weeks, 15 days. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, see you soon.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.